So I'm Stephen Makk. I'm the Ontario representative for the PPC. So I'm not your local one, and that's Dimna Caroline over there. I'll let her introduce herself in a little while. My job's more behind the scenes. I work with Max, and I'd like to, on behalf of Maxime Bernier, who really wanted to be here today, but he couldn't because he had a prior engagement in Perth, Wellington. So unfortunately, sorry, you don't get Max. I'm your booby prize, but I'm happy to talk to you. And this is an anniversary of a very interesting Canadian event. That's the Freedom Convoy 3 years ago. So I'm just curious, who here was part of that convoy 3 years ago? Show your hands. Okay, awesome, awesome. Are there any actual truckers among us here? Any truck drivers? Okay, well, maybe a couple. Okay, thank you. So I'm glad the spirit's still alive. And that was basically an expression of Canadian will. This is the most beautiful grassroots expression of disappointment in the system. Yes, it was about certain specific laws about crossing the border with vaccine mandates and not, but really it was a statement that our government has gone too far. It just happened to be a specific thing. And as the years went on, our government, our system, our bureaucracies kept doing stuff to us. So I'm not going to talk about too much about the past today, but I want to give you maybe a call to action to think about the future. We know what they've done in the past. Let's keep our ears and eyes open to see what might be coming down. Who here was in Ottawa in February at the protest? Great, good to see. I was there as well. Me and another bunch of rather large candidates. We were Maxime Bernier's informal security detail. I have to say, I took one for the chief. Somebody threw a snowball, and I let it hit me rather than spoil Max. And so I keep doing that. And I guess that's what I'm doing here today a little bit. So why truckers? Why were they the ones that woke up first? And I have a theory about that. Truckers are people who have a lot of time to themselves in that cab, driving through our beautiful country. They see the beauty of Canada, and they have time to think. Not like all the other people watching TV all the time, whose brains are being manipulated. Please don't watch TV. But the truckers are kind of our philosophers. They don't go drive through the fancy neighborhoods. They go do deliveries. They see the grittier side of the world. They see the parts of towns where people have to hustle to get ahead. And I think that is part of what inspired them to be our leaders. You know, when I was a little boy at a family gathering, when I was maybe 6, 7 years old, they asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up, Stephen?" And I said, maybe a rocket scientist or a truck driver. And my mom said, no, 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 you got to be a scientist. Well, I am an engineer. But you know, what isn't there to like? Trucks, they're powerful, they're loud, they get things done, and they're peaceful. And I think that was another thing about the Freedom Convoy, was it was totally peaceful. It was totally a uprising of the people. I mean, some of my leftist friends think that this was a beautiful proletarian uprising against the commissars. I mean, the government, the direction of power has gone the wrong way. The way it was intended was for the people's voice to drive the leadership of the government to do what we want. But it's flipped over. And we saw during the pandemic and since, the government is trying to tell us how to live. The government's trying to say, what does it mean to be a good Canadian? That's not their job. There's 40 million ways to be a good Canadian, and each one of you knows what that way is for you. So we don't need moralizing. We don't need in and out. So one thought I would like to impart on all of you is, how about we stop thinking we're a fringe? Let's stop thinking that we're somehow outsiders. I think that's where they want us to be. What we are is the mainstream of the future. Look at what's happening in the world like right now. Look what's happening in the States. Look what Trump is doing and his team, which isn't all Republicans, they're mostly former Democrats. It's very diverse in a way. Look what's happening in Germany, France, reform in England, which is likely to form the next government. Let's make sure Canada isn't the last straggler that keeps DEI and all this woke BS and state authoritarianism in place. Please, let's not Canada be that place. But I'm a little bit worried because we have an election coming. We're in the midst of the slowest, most dragged out resignation of a politician I've ever seen. So yeah, Trudeau's on his way out. We've been cheering for that. And yeah, he's kind of gone. But do you feel better? No. And you know, every politician, every leader's trying to come across as the next savior. They have new, quick slogans. So do you think Poilievre's going to change anything? Because they're two wings of the same bird, different color socks, different ties. I mean, if you think that voting for that guy is going to change anything, it's not going to change the system. We can take some inspiration from the USA. What's happening there is amazing. And by the way, Maxime Bernier did announce back 3 years ago that Canada needed a Department of Government Streamlining and Efficiency. We didn't call it DOGE, but we were already on that. And you know, the PPC's been on it from day one. We are going to be in power. It's inevitable. I don't know when, but it's going to take you to convince your neighbors. And you don't need to convince the neighbors who already believe. You're going to have to open your hearts. You're going to have to be the cheerful, confident ones. And you're going to have to convert your neighbors. You're our CBC. Citizen by citizen, we're going to get the message out. If you talk to 10 people, they talk to 10 people, we can make things happen. I'm just curious, how many of you are PPC supporters out there? I see quite a lot. That's awesome. We got to make it more because we're not taking the easy route. We have values, we have principles, we know we're right, and we just have to convince people better. And the difficulty is the skills you need to get elected don't really overlap with the skills you require to govern effectively. So there's a lot of good salesmen out there, but the product sucks. We know that. For the last 50, 60 years, it's the same product. I don't care if it was Harper or Trudeau Sr. or Trudeau Jr. or Pearson or Clark. It's all the same thing. It is time to do something different, to choose something different. Because they're streaming data down at you through the media, through all different means, all the time. And you get to send a message back once every 5 years or so. So when you do send that message back, I hope that message is to have a future, to have a free future where Canadians can be the agents of their own prosperity in a free country. And the PPC promises to push government back to make room for you to move forward. But here's the thing. For that to work, we need a citizenry who has self-confidence, especially young people right now. People are losing confidence in themselves, and they're being tricked into having faith and confidence in a government that is exactly the thing that we want to fight. So please, find your confidence. You're Canadians. Canadians are self-reliant. Canadians are confident in the future. Think of our ancestors who came into this wild place and turned it into a civilized place. We've gone adrift, and yes, certain influences from above, from far away, and within have gotten us on the wrong path. But we can get on the right path if we have confidence in ourselves. So please, remember, without freedom of speech, we can't talk to each other. and we need to exercise our freedoms because they're like a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it withers away. So be proud, wave your flags, be an American flag. You know, America isn't our enemy. Americans are friends. They're family. Let's not have a trade war with America. Let's not fall into that trap. Maxime Bernier is the only political leader in Canada who understands how Trump's thinking, and we're not falling for his troll. This is a test, and it's showing how out of touch our leadership is. We don't need to fight America. They're our friends. Our neighbors are telling us that our house is a mess and we need to clean it up. You know what Trump did? He took a figurative gun and put it to Trudeau's head and says, implement the PPC platform, please. And he's almost convinced Trudeau to do a whole bunch of things the PPC's been saying we got to do from day one. Remember 2019? We were saying mass immigration's a disaster. It's going to wreck the country. What were we called? We're called racists, idiots, and worse. Where are we now? We are the only party that represents the majority opinion of Canadians. 70% of Canadians think immigration's out of control. Thank you. I told you so. We were right. They were all wrong. But we only got, a few percent that time. And then with the pandemic, we've already spoken about the vaccines and the science, but what did Maxime say? Yeah, handing out CERB checks and CEWS, printing money to hand out to idle people is going to create an inflation hangover when this is over like nobody's ever seen before. I told you so. We were right. We knew where it was going. And right now we're saying what's happening with the U.S. and Canada trade. I'd love to sit down with Trump and negotiate with Max. Okay, you don't want tariffs? He says reciprocal tariffs? Great. How about we get rid of our tariffs, our 300% tariffs on cheese or poultry and eggs and stuff? He's got a point. Okay, dude, Donald, you don't want tariffs? Take them all down. Let's deal. Let's make a deal, my friend. That's what he wants to do. And it seems none of our other leaders have read his book. Max has read his book. Max knows what Trump's doing. He's not trying to hurt us. He's trying to help us. An American president is doing more to change the Canadian political garbage than our own useless leaders. So let's not be angry and let's not fall for this crap of, let's all team up together to defend what? To defend our bureaucracy. Is that worth defending? No, it's not. We're here to get rid of it. I'd love to be the Doge guy for a PPC government. That's my dream job. Okay, well, join the team. It's a team. I'll take the big snowballs. You take the little snowballs. So let's be cheerful and confident. And we're not here to defend our bureaucracy because that's the thing that got us in trouble in the first place. And you can change the 338 or 343 bums that are elected. It doesn't matter because the stuff that's wrong is below them. And nobody's drilling down to fix that. The bureaucracy writes the bill. Some patsy MP puts the bill forward, gets it voted in. What's the bill say? Typically, give the bureaucracy more power, be it the RCMP doing guns or CRTC controlling your speech or some regulatory body dealing with your herbal remedies. It's the same story. They get a bill to give the bureaucrats more ability to set rules, fines. It's not the way it was intended. We want to break that cycle. So I know I've been rambling a bit, and I'd like to say again, Maxime Bernier sends his greetings to all of you. And the last thing I'd like to say is a vote for the PPC is a vote for yourself. So take charge, be confident, be cheerful. You held on this long. We're winning. Okay? So take the attitude of a winner. Our world is coming. Let's get the word out and let's not be stragglers. Let's show what Canada can do, how prosperous we can be. Less taxes, less regulation. We can make it happen. And hey, enjoy each other's company. Have an amazing afternoon. And I look forward to answering any of your questions afterwards. So that's all I have to say. Back to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Steve and Makk. Boy, that's a tough act to follow.